Screech by TarynMcT. Read by Oakshadow5. Chapter 4. So, Izuku had come to a few conclusions by the time he had finally gone to bed that night. First, Present Mike was a high-energy, warm, loving person who gave the best hugs and wanted Izuku to call him Hisashi. Second, Eraserhead, who Hisashi insisted he call Shota, was so calm, observant, cool balance to Hisashi, but was no less loving. He didn't give fucks outright, but he'd sit next to Izuku and play with his hair. It was a slight resemblance to how Izuku would preen his feathers when he was having a really rough day, and it helped calm him down. Third, Hitoshi really didn't like him. At least, it seemed he didn't like him. He kept staring at Izuku with narrowed eyes. He'd glare at him and then turn away when Izuku was about to ask him if there was anything he did wrong. Izuku wanted to be friends, or at least not enemies, but he really thought Hitoshi hated him. Even though Shota said the boy would be fine sharing the house with another kid, Izuku didn't think that was the case. Just like everyone else, he hates you. You're intruding on his life. Shut up, Izuku thought to himself. Just because a few people are being nice to you now doesn't mean it'll last. So it's going to be one of those nights. Izuku rolled over in his bed and stared at the wall. Tomorrow he would be going back to school, and he'd have to explain to his classmates that he had a quirk. They wouldn't believe him, he knew it, so he'd have to show them. Maybe his wings? Or talents? Doesn't matter what you show them, they still hate you. Maybe they'll kill you this time. Why wait for them to do it? Izuku squeezed his eyes shut, trying to pry the thoughts out of his head, but when that didn't work, he decided maybe sleep wasn't going to happen. Besides, it's not like he was ever really able to sleep at night anyways. He got out of bed and grabbed some of his books from his backpack. If he was going to be up, he might as well try to finish the next chapter in his math book and get a head start on the next chapter of history. The desk in his room wasn't big enough for how Izuku liked to spread out while studying, so he decided to take his things into the front room and study on the coffee table. Nearly an hour later, Izuku heard a noise from down the hall. It seemed as though someone was awake. Izuku kept quiet, hoping whoever it was wouldn't notice him. His mother always hated it when she saw him acting like an owl in the dark, and Izuku hadn't bothered turning on a light when he came out to the front room. Whoever it was went to the bathroom. It must have been Hitoshi, since Hisashi and Shota had a bathroom in their room. Izuku continued to be silent, hunching into himself and hoping he would go back to bed without ever noticing him. No such luck, it would seem. Hitoshi came to the front room and turned on the light. When he saw Izuku on the floor, doing schoolwork, he just blinked. Hi? Izuku whispered, as he let his eyes transition from dark vision to light vision.
What are you doing out here this late?
Hitoshi asked him quietly, not wanting to risk waking up his parents. I couldn't sleep, Izuku shrugged. It's actually rare for me to sleep at night.
Right, because you're an owl,
he stated. Izuku nodded. Why are you up?
Insomnia,
was the simple reply.
That makes me stay in my room and at least try to sleep until 3 a.m. If I still can't sleep then, I can come out and watch TV or get a head start on the day, or whatever else to occupy myself.
I used to go flying, Izuku says mournfully. But I'm not allowed to do that without supervision anymore. With a side sigh, Izuku started packing up his textbooks to go back to his room.
Where are you going?
Hitoshi asked. Back to my room? Izuku tilted his head to the side. You're going to be out here, right? I know you don't like me, so I don't want to be in your way. Izuku finished getting his things cleaned up and got up. I hope the rest of your night is pleasant. Hitoshi wasn't sure where he messed up, but the new kid thought he didn't like him. But he does like him. He's adorable. The way he would softly hoot when Dad played with his hair was so cute, he couldn't help but stare, and when Papa hugged him, he would let out these adorable little chirps. Hitoshi was a bit excited when he came out and saw him out here. He thought they could talk about their mutual dislike of sleep, but apparently Hitoshi had scared the little owl off. Damn his resting bitch face. And Dad probably warned him he wouldn't like him right away. Which, to be fair to Dad, was not normally a lie. Hitoshi didn't like many people. They would always treat him like a villain as soon as they heard about his quirk. And that was the main reason why he was still his parents' only adopted kid. He knew Papa wanted another kid, but he wasn't going to adopt a kid that couldn't accept Hitoshi. Hitoshi decided he'll try to make it up to the little owl by making a nice breakfast for everyone. He took out his phone and started looking for a video about owls. Maybe he could get some inspiration for breakfast? A few minutes later, and he was sucked into the video. Who knew owls were so damn cute? They were They were sky kittens! And the Screech owl was so tiny! No wonder the new kid was small! Hitoshi was so absorbed into the video, he didn't notice the small owl boy had come back out of his room to watch him. Izuku let out a small, barely audible hoot. Hitoshi looked up sharply.
I didn't hear you come in,
he said. I know. Izuku had a sharp glint to his eyes. No one hears me unless I want to be heard. Even Eraserhead almost never knew when I was near.
That's right, you're a vigilante,
Hitoshi remembered. Was, he corrected. If I want a chance at getting a valid hero license, I have to stop my vigilantism. Izuku looked down and quietly said, I'm sorry, I thought you don't like me because…
No, don't be sorry. I always look pissed off.
Hitoshi rubbed the back of his neck. It seems he may have been thinking out loud earlier. So embarrassing. Oh. Izuku came more fully into the room and sat down next to Hitoshi. What are you watching? Izuku really didn't want to go to school today, but he had already skipped yesterday to go with Detective Tsukauchi to the police station. He couldn't skip again. Shota had agreed to take him to school today. He needed to update the school's information regarding Izuku anyways, so it wasn't likely that any of the other students would risk taking him on site. Bakugo will just kill you at lunch.
You ready to go?
Shota's steady voice put Izuku out of his thoughts, and he nodded.
Okay, let's go.
Hisashi and Hitoshi had already left, so they locked the door and started on the way. 20 minutes later, they were walking through the gates to Eldera Middle School. Shota walked with him into the front office, where the secretary gave them a brief glance and then promptly ignored them.
Excuse me, I'm here to update some information for Midoriya Izuku,
Shota said. Izuku knew that they weren't going to treat him well. He had warned Shota on the way here that this would happen, and then spent the rest of the walk to school trying to convince him not to pull him out of school for the last 2 months. Sure, the secretary muttered annoyed. What do you want to update?
His guardian and his quirk status.
The secretary looked up sharply at that. Quirk status? He's quirkless though.
That's what needs to be updated. He's not quirkless.
Turning to Izuku, Shota asked.
Do you want to show her, or just get your information changed?
Izuku chopped the negative, so Shota continued.
Is there a form for me to fill out?
The secretary was looking at Izuku suspiciously. Just because the boy can chirp like a bird doesn't give him a quirk.
No,
Shota retorted.
The fact he has a quirk is what gives him a quirk. Now, do you have a form or not?
She gave him the form to update his information, but continued to glare at Izuku, who was pointedly staring at the floor. She barely looked up as Shota gave her the updated information. Screech owl? She asked in disbelief after glancing at the form. Yes, Izuku stuttered. Prove it, she hissed. Bird quirks are rare, and there's nothing about you that is bird. She cut herself off with a squeak when Izuku let his eyes switch to dark vision for a moment. When he did that, his pupil got so big the green of his irises all but vanished, becoming a thin ring. It was fairly obvious. He quickly let his eyes go back to light vision, since it was bright, and that much light hurt his eyes in dark mode. You really do have a quirk? She whispered. At Izuku's nod, her entire demeanor changed, and she became far more professional, asking for Shota's identification to prove he was who he said, and if he had any documentation to prove he was Izuku's new guardian. After all information had been entered and updated, Shota turned to Izuku.
You're going to be okay getting back home, right? Or do you want me for Osashi to come pick you up?
Izuku smiled softly. Thanks, but it should be okay. I have the address saved, and if I get lost I can just text you. Izuku's smile turned slightly mischievous. If all else fails, I can just fly home. The city's a bit familiar from above.
Smart ass.
Shota playfully ruffled Izuku's hair.
I'll see you after school then.
Izuku walked into class and tried to ignore the eyes that followed him as he handed a slate pass to the teacher and went to his desk. For once, there were no flowers. Probably because they want to make sure you get them. Midoriya, why were you late? The teacher asks, not even looking at the late pass, crumpling it up and throwing it in the trash. The pass said why? He stuttered. Tell the class, the teacher insisted. I think we'd all like to hear it from you. Izuku sighed as the students all smirked and snickered at him. I was late because my new guardian had to update my information. What information? Izuku took a deep breath and said, My quirk status, I'm not quirkless. The response was instantaneous. The entire class was in an uproar as the teacher desperately pulled the note out of the trash to read what it said to confirm Izuku's words, but all he heard was Bakugo's rage-filled, "What the fuck, Deku?" He had jumped out of his desk to grab Izuku by the collar and slammed him into the ground. "You're a quirkless little shit! There's no way you just suddenly got a quirk overnight! You've always been quirkless! Nothing's changed!" "Let me go, Bakugo! I do have a quirk!" Izuku hated it when Bakugo grabbed him like this. It would be so easy for Izuku to lose control of his Screech and blast him in the face. At this close of a range, he could do serious damage to his ex-friend. "Bakugo," the teacher said sharply. "Release Midoriya and return to your seat." With a growl, Bakugo let him up. "Get ready, Deku! You're going to die at lunch for lying!" Frustrated, Izuku yelled back, "I'm not lying!" And he spread his wings. Yes! Izuku snapped at Bakugo! Woo! But also the way the author wrote the secretary's demeanor changing. I hate that the quirk discrimination is so good represented. Like, it's written really well, but it just pisses me off. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed chapter 4 of Screech, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!